So what is hypnosis?
See, hypnotherapy, hypnosis, when it's, if I simply define it for you, Dhoni, first, it's a state, it's a natural state. Yeah, we all undergo through it at least twice a day. And that's where, let me again go deeper into it. The first is when you go to bed at night, you just lie down and you're drifting into sleep. You're not asleep yet. When you're drifting into sleep, that in-between state in sleep language is known as a hypnogogic state. That's hypnosis.
Okay.
And the second is when you wake up in the morning.
Is this conscious and subconscious mind?
What they have found out, what now their research has shown, that conscious mind is just 10% of our mind. Of course, it being a non-physical entity, it's difficult to define it or, because it's not physical. You can't see it. But how we as hypnotherapists use to define it is your brain being the physical organ, the mind being its function. So we said 10% of that mind is conscious. The 90% is subconscious. Now, why do we say that? If you can go back to the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, the 8 steps. Now, Yam, Niyam, Pranayam, Asana. If you see, most of us are stuck here. But it is the other which are very important. Pratyahara, that is withdrawal of senses. Dharana, that is concentration. And Dhyan, that is meditation. So hypnosis starts with Pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. Going into a concentrated, focused attention. And it can go into meditation. But the last step, Samadhi, which was like, something, an alien state for us once upon a time. Neuroscience has today explained neurologically what happens in the spine when you achieve the state of superconsciousness.
Hello everyone. I welcome all of you to another episode of Between the Line. Many times life gives you surprises. You are into a profession and you get into the situation where you tend to decide some other options for profession, and that too in a later stage of life. Life gives you options also. So whether to select any other option for a profession, which option to select, whether to transit from one profession to another, whether to transit from settled environment to new environment, there are a lot of such questions. And to answer these questions, we have a very distinct personality today, Mr. Dr. Tarak Vachharajani. Dr. Tarak is dental surgeon. He is neuroscience-based clinical hypnotherapist. He is a transformational coach. He is a corporate trainer. He has been visiting faculty to many institutes to teach clinical hypnosis. He has been consultant to renowned institute for mental healing. Till now, he has cured almost 2,000 patients for their mental issues. And he believes in science and philosophy. So let's meet Dr. Tarak and gain some knowledge and wisdom. Dr. Tarak, welcome to Between the Lines. I'll tell you, normally, while interacting or while discussion, we use phrase message between the line, read between the line. So the concept of between the line is same, that while interacting people like you, discussing about your journey, people will get a lot of message or some sort of takeaways. So hence, this is the concept of between the line. I'm really thankful to you because the kind of profession you are in, which doesn't have any specific day, time. So it is difficult for you to, spare some time for such sort of interaction. But especially on Sunday, you have taken out time and you have come here for this interaction. For that, I express my sincere gratitude to you. So welcome you again.
Thank you, Dhoni bhai. It's a pleasure to be on your show and making people aware of what I do has always been my passion. And you have provided me with this wonderful platform to doing it so wonderfully. So thank you.
Dr. Tarak, you are born in a city which is, a prime city of India, the city with full of life, full of energy, Mumbai. And upbringing, I personally feel upbringing in Mumbai is something different, which I experience looking at to the people from Mumbai. So talking about your upbringing, you are born and brought up in a family where your father is a doctor. So we just would like to understand about your upbringing, because when there is somebody in medical in your family, or you have a medical history in family, so the upbringing is always done taking consideration that the person or the boy will go into the medical itself. So we would like to know about your upbringing.
As you know, my childhood was born and brought up in Mumbai, in Borivali. And I went to one of the best schools in Mumbai. And yes, coming from a medical background, you are surrounded with doctors. Even the events you go to are doctors. And any medical issues in the family, any doctor is just a phone call away. So they were more like uncles and aunties to me rather than doctors. And just that did have an impact on me. But as I cleared my 12th standard, that's where the crucial year is, that time. Now there is an entrance exam, but that time the all marks, which was your careers dependent, was only 12th standard marks.
Okay.
So I had a choice of going into medical and dental. Now my father being a senior dental surgeon in Mumbai, well known, a good practice, I thought, isn't it more practical to just take dentistry instead of, going through the MBBS thing, then go for MD or MS, whatever. And that's why I chose dentistry. And as destiny would have had it, I got in merit in Maharashtra. And that's how my journey of dentistry started there.
But, is it compulsion in a family that when your parents are a doctor, so the child has to go into that medical line only? Or was it your conscious call, or was it your choice taking medical as your career?
Actually, to be very frank, Dhoni bhai, my first choice changed, when it was a one book which changed my whole perspective towards, this profession. There was a book called Jurassic Park, written by Michael Crichton. It came, I think, in 92 or 93.
Okay.
And when I read that book, I realized this is what I want to do, genetics. And I told my father also, I want to pursue genetic studies.
Okay.
Do something in genetics. But at that time, 93, 94, genetics, no college was offering this course. And the only college, the course which was offered was BSc with life science.
Okay.
So I realized I tried a lot, but there was nothing there. So I had to, leave that aside. But as luck would have it, what a profession I am in today, I'm again exposed to genetics.
Oh, so that means somewhere you wanted to pursue your career in genetics, but because of unavailability of resources or the places, you selected dental as a medical profession.
Yes.
Right. Now, as we are talking about dental, now if you see the lifestyle of today's people like me or like other people and the food habit, the dental issues are increasing. So as you are a dental surgeon, so if you can give us some tips about, managing the dental hygiene and keeping our teeth healthy.
I'll put it very simply and give some very basic tips. We are sort of psychologically programmed to, as you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. But actually, that's not required.
Okay.
Because if you have a habit of brushing at night, which most of us don't do, and that is the most crucial part.
Okay.
Because you have your dinner and you go to bed. And if you don't brush at night, that food particles get stuck on your teeth
Okay.
And that's where all the problems start. But now if you are regularly brushing at night, then when you wake up in the morning, there is nothing stuck on the teeth. So you don't need to brush. All you need to do is clean your tongue. And when you have your breakfast, brush your teeth. But chalo, let's understand that bhai, psychologically you want to brush your teeth. Go ahead. But after having your breakfast, and this is what I do, is just move your brush over your teeth.
Okay.
At least the particles, the food particles which are stuck,
Okay.
they don't remain stuck. So at least this is a basic oral hygiene you can do. And of course, avoid sticky things. But today our food habits have changed to more of sticky food particles, sugar-based, refined materials. If that can be avoided a lot, and the worst is late night snacks.
But this is something new input we have received, that rather having teeth or brush in the morning, you should have at night before the bed. This is something new input we have received. But and any one suggestion or inputs for kids, because maximum teeth problem starts at the age of 5, 6, 7, because many times they don't brush their teeth, or they have a lot of chocolates and everything. So any specific one suggestion for kids?
Dhani bhai, I'll be a little bit frank in that case. If they see the parents brush at night, trust me, the kid will pick it up. They will. You don't have to tell them.
Very good point.
So because they are in that stage when they are just copying. So yes, if you do that, and the main thing is getting them into the habit.
True.
And once that habit is formed, the kid will not go to bed without brushing. And today, if we have seen in a lot of schools that kids who are regularly brushing at night, avoiding fast food during the week, their oral health is much better than the kids who don't.
Okay.
The number of cavities they have. And usually there is one more thing I would like to emphasize, that parents have this misconception that a milk tooth anyway has to fall. So why worry about it? But no, they don't realize is that milk tooth is a foci of infection.
Okay.
And right below it, there is a permanent tooth.
Okay.
Now, when that get infected, it can infect the permanent tooth, which is just erupting.
This is very, very practical advice you have given. You are correct that parents take it for granted. So I think this will help our parents to understand about managing their kids, hygiene, dental hygiene. So thank you for this advice. Now, I don't know whether I should use word exciting or not, but very interesting point of your journey. Dental being a very lucrative profession, especially in medical nowadays, what I feel, and that too in Mumbai, So you have been into dental practice since many years, and that too a very settled practice, and which is very lucrative, obviously as we see as part of a career. Transition from dental to some other profession. I'm not coming to that profession, but I'm very much eager to understand this transition, that you were settled into the dental practice, and then you have switched your profession from dental to hypnosis. So my first point, I want to understand the decision or this thought of closing down your dental practice and switching to some other profession, and that to a hypnosis sort of the profession. How this has happened?
There's always a trigger for every change in life. And the trigger happened in my life when I relocated from Mumbai to Vadodara.
Okay.
The only thing I had not factored in, Tanibai, was that when I came to Vadodara, that the dental practice scenario in Vadodara was, let me use the word, very bad.
Okay.
In a sense that there are 2 dental colleges in Vadodara.
Okay.
And let's say if even 10% of the students are passing locally, So that's around 15 doctors coming out every year. That's a big number for a place like Vadodara.
Okay.
So what I studied was that if there are 10 clinics opening in Vadodara, there were 3 who are shutting down. So I took my time, but then I had to earn money also. I can't just sit around in Vadodara. So I did start my dental practice. It was partnering with a franchisee. And but because they were a marketing franchisee, the whole mindset was opposite of me. The level of practice I was used to in Mumbai. We had a very class practice in Mumbai. And here they were more focusing on getting the masses, the footfalls, which was a very new and alien concept to me. And the type of work I was doing at the rates was taking a toll on me. So first year was very much frustrating. And I was like asking myself, where the hell am I doing? The type of work, that was one. And you are not getting that amount of income at the end of the day. So that was taking a toll. And that's where, the transition was bound to happen. So it's the second year where one of my very good friend suggested me to do a workshop with a very leading person in Vadodara, the Honorable Dr. Bhupendra Palan. And when I did that 6-day workshop and I shared my experiences with him, so he was gracious enough to tell me, Tarak, go for the post-graduation course which is offered by MS University.
So what was that workshop? The subject of that workshop?
It was, it's the name of the workshop was Transformation. It was basically on hypnosis, but it was a combination of Indian philosophy and hypnosis. Very wonderfully done. And he still does it, if I remember well. And that put me onto the path. I said, yes, this is what, let me at least do the course. And it was during that course, it was 6 days a week, 4 to 6 every day. And that midway somewhere I realized this is what I want to do. This is what is my life's calling.
But don't you think that, what if I can ask you, what was your age at this phase?
41.
At that time, you were 41.
Yeah.
So at the age of 40, when you are struggling with your profession, and that too a profession like dental where you are quite stable and you had a great command and the control over that profession. So it is just because that the sort of income was the point, or somewhere back of your mind, you wanted to go for something else also, or only the income was the reason, or the business was not getting settled in the city? Was that the only reason, or something was going on in your mind,
That's a very good question, Dhanibhai, because now when you ask me, that, how shall I put it? That boredom had already set in. Because I had shared this with my father, that I'm feeling this is like a monotonous job I'm doing. And no disrespect to my profession, but I was feeling like I'm not actually doing what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
And I'm not contributing the level I can. So that somewhere subconsciously it was definitely pricking me. Now here I got a chance, and that too when I was doing 5 clinical cases we had to submit during our postgrad.
Okay.
And that's where I saw the power it had. I realized the power. Not only that, I used it to make that transition so easy. Trust me, it was not easy. I mean, at 41, you are shifting professions. You know that you are not doing well here, and you are going to somewhere totally different.
But was your father agreed on this?
Yeah, that was the best thing I could say, that his support was there. He said, go ahead.
Amazing.
Otherwise, it would have been a very difficult journey.
But when you were into the transition of taking this call, you didn't have any sort of worry about if you are going to close your settled profession and you are exploring something new area, and if that somehow won't work and you may get stuck between your settled profession, closing down the settled profession, struggling with the new profession, especially for getting the income. So you didn't have that worry in your mind?
Dhani, frankly speaking, I didn't allow that worry to come because I was so passionate about what I'm going to do that I'll tell you that it was October 2017 that I took this call. And February 2018, I got a message from a junior of Dr. Palan who was working with him into the hypnotherapy section of Alpha Healing Center. It's India's prime luxurious de-addiction rehab near Jambugoda.
Okay.
And she wanted to leave because she was getting married. And I just said, I'm interested. And that's how 14th of February 2018, that was my first day in Alpha. And it so happened that it was the same day Dr. Palan resigned from that place and I had to take over full time, the full hypnotherapy section for 6 years.
So date was 14 February.
Yeah.
Which is well-known day.
I'll put it the other way also.
So that is what I was just going to tell you that, I think
it was also Mahashivratri on that day.
Oh, wonderful. So we can put in a two different perspective. One is 14th February, which very well-known day as a Valentine's Day. So I can say that I'm sure you made your first or second love on that day, which is the profession which you wanted to,
I had not taken that perspective.
And obviously, I think the day of
Mahashivratri.
Mahadev. So I'm sure you must have got the blessings of Mahadev.
Definitely.
That's very interesting, I think. So now let us coming to the new profession which you got few years back, hypnosis. So normally we people called hypnotism. So we want to know what is hypnosis, because for people like us, we understand it as hypnotism. So that means taking control of mind, taking control of body and life. So some sort of in a different negative way. So what is hypnosis?
See, hypnosis, when it's, if I simply define it for you, Dhani, first, it's a state, it's a natural state. Yeah, we all undergo through it at least twice a day. And that's where, let me again go deeper into it. The first is when you go to bed at night, you just lie down and you're drifting into sleep. You're not asleep yet.
Okay.
When you're drifting into sleep, that in-between state in sleep language is known as a hypnagogic state. That's hypnosis.
Okay.
And the second is when you wake up in the morning. Your eyes are still not open. You're aware of the sounds around you, the smells around you. And that's again the state where it's a brief window where your subconscious is naturally open.
Oh.
So in ancient times, we used to speak mantras and shloks. Today, it has taken the place of affirmations. Now, if I define it, it's a altered state of consciousness.
Okay.
Meaning between waking and sleeping, and where your subconscious mind takes a backseat and your conscious mind takes a backseat and your subconscious mind is open for work. So you can put in something, you can allow something to come out. The another name is focused awareness. Meaning right now, I'm talking to you, so I'm totally aware talking to you.
Okay.
I'm not aware of the surroundings.
Okay.
So you can say this is one of the forms of hypnosis.
Oh.
And this is where I use it a lot with students to improve their concentration, focus, and to a certain extent, memory.
So in a simple word, we can say it is a normal or natural state of mind.
Yes.
So So now you have use word conscious and subconscious mind. Day in, day out, while talking to somebody, we use this word in my subconscious mind and consciously. But now you are a champion of this subject. We want to know in a very simple language, what is this conscious and subconscious mind?
What they have found out, what now there's research has shown that conscious mind is just 10% of our mind. Of course, it being a non-physical entity, it's difficult to define it or, because it's not physical. You can't see it. But how we as hypnotherapists use to define it is your brain being the physical organ, the mind being its function. So we said 10% of that mind is conscious. The 90% is subconscious. Now, why do we say that? Because now today research has proven, Dhanibhai, that since you were 6.5 months in your mother's womb, from that age, rather from that time, till roughly the age of 7, your subconscious was programmed.
Okay.
Meaning, whatever your parents, your elders, your teachers, what you saw, you heard, you experienced was getting directly downloaded as it is. And they're forming programs, beliefs, frame of references. For example, if a household is worshipping, say, Srinathji, the child will invariably grow up worshipping Srinathji. Or a person is born in a Catholic household. Every Sunday they'll be going to church. So this is something which is engraved. The behaviors of how the family is operating. Again, simple example, how the father walks, talks. The son will invariably,
Exactly.
ingrain into him.
Okay. I think you have touched upon the point which we are going to discuss very soon. So somewhere, as a Indian, we always feel that this is something our tradition or the spirituality angle when the child is in the womb. But you have somewhere touched upon that scientific angle also with this. So I think we are going to discuss this very soon. Now, you have been into profession where you help people about their mental struggle or the issue. I want to know why this mental issues or the mental struggle happened. Why, mental stress?
So, Dhanibhai, if you see 30, 40 years back, the lifestyle was different. As we grew up, we had a very carefree life. Our needs were less. Our wants were less. And we never, there was a bit of comparison, it was not that much. We were happy in what we had. Now today, that scenario has changed. Comparisons have started in families. The second is how the social media effect is there. Now, this is something I've been observing since at least a decade. Social media is full of motivational talks about success, making money, and we have linked money and success together. So everybody's priority of life have changed. Instead of accepting who you are trying to be someone what the world expects you to be. Now that is where the stress comes in. Your aspirations are so high that you are trying to cope up with it. And in that process, you overload your own self.
Okay.
In that process.
Okay.
Now coming from Mumbai, I can relate stress to that aspect that a person, an average Mumbaikar, starts his day at 5 a.m.
True.
And he travels by train at least 1 to 1.5 hours one way.
Yes.
Goes to work, then comes back. Now an average Mumbaikar is always stressed. The traveling is stressful for him. But then they found coping mechanism in it.
Okay.
Same way here, every human being today is stressed in some way or the other because unrealistic expectations they put before themselves.
Okay.
And this is something I have understood.
Oh, okay.
Either if he doesn't put, it's a family who puts in front of him.
No, I
or
think
her.
one point you have correctly mentioned is comparison, because recently in one of the talks I have also spoken on this point, especially to students, because comparison always makes you feel that you are somewhere. It makes you feel inferior. And
You are not
so
good enough.
my always point is, if you want to compare, do comparison with yourself. Compare yourself, who were you before 5 years and who are you after 5 years. So if you compare, I think you will see that you are somewhere getting up, you are changing yourself, you will see transformation. So I feel that comparison is a major roadblock in your success. And if you compare, if you do comparison with yourself, it will lead you to this.
Very true, Dhwani bhai. And I really appreciate what you just shared. Because today we are all after, if I be very, we are all after happiness. Somewhere.
True.
Subconsciously, what we are looking. But today we are confused pleasure with happiness.
Exactly. So now we want to know how this hypnosis helps. Let's say if I have mental stress and if I come to you, how hypnosis helps.
Before I go there, let me clarify, and since we are on this platform, that though hypnosis or hypnotherapy is considered a part of psychotherapy, it has gone beyond the scope of conventional psychotherapy or psychology.
Okay.
It's pure neuroscience.
Okay.
Today, research being so advanced, and there are people who have exclusive neuroimaging labs, that means who do EEG scans and functional MRI scans only for hypnosis. What they found out was that there are certain parts of the brain whose activity goes down, and that is where it becomes so powerful. Okay. So, if I understand, if I put it very simply, first thing hypnosis affects is that it works on something known as an anterior cingulate cortex of the brain.
Okay.
Now, what is that? It is that part is responsible for the executive control.
Okay.
Okay. For example, right now we both are talking. We are involved, engrossed in talking with each other. Now, suppose there is a loud bang. Of course, this room is soundproof. But suppose we are casually talking and there is a loud bang outside. I'm sure we are not that moment, that part of the brain will tell you, stop talking, look what's going on, protect yourself. So what it means is, it sends you into a flight and fight mode. Now what hypnosis does is, it that part of the brain activity goes down. So you're totally engrossed. Okay, you may hear a sound, but you will not respond or react to it. And that is the first basic use of hypnotherapy. It relaxes you. A genuine state of relaxation, physical and ultimately my mental.
So somewhere it helps you to compose your mind, get the composure in your mind.
Yes.
But so very quickly, I would like to know, is there any specific tools being used, or is there any specific method being used, or it is just a normal interaction with the patient?
No, we have to what we call as induce our clients or patients into a hypnotic state. There are basically 4 stages. One is induction. Second is imagination, because imagination is the language of the subconscious mind.
Right.
Third is post-hypnotic suggestion. And fourth, again, the most important, the termination of the trance.
Okay.
And when you do this, the client feels a real shift and a different state of experience. And that is the beauty of hypnotherapy. It's an experiential thing.
Okay.
I may claim anything. But when I make the client or the patient experience that state, he or she, when the trance is terminated, what he or she has experienced is unique.
Okay. Okay.
And that is something which hits that person.
Okay. Great. Great. I'm sure you must be getting different age group as your patient, but I want to touch upon a very specific group, which is teenagers. So, are you getting cases of teenagers?
Yes.
And if yes, what kind of challenges they face?
Yes, Vanibhai. Actually, though I love working with the youth because ultimately they are the future of our country. Today, the youth, especially the age between 13 to 18, that's a very crucial age. One, what I face is because of the previous, what we call as the 2 years of Corona, had a very detrimental effect on their mind.
Okay.
The whole study pattern, their focus pattern was sort of shaken by that. So that is one thing which I have to counter. The second is their distraction levels are very high.
Okay.
Thanks to the social media. And to that extent, they are becoming addicted to. And once you have that freedom of, that phone in your hand, you have no control of where you will go. So literally put it very simply, the addiction to porn and the reels today. Sometimes you find yourself, you're scrolling in reels and you realize 30, 40 minutes have gone by. So how that addictive it is. So these are the major challenges. And because of that, they are sort of getting distracted in their studies and their performance. So I like to first get them aware of their addiction. Second is to put them, if they're into some sports, that's a very good thing. And to use hypnotherapy and hypnosis to improve their concentration focus. And now today neuroscience come to that level that you can even train them how to study well so that their brain is able to effectively function and sort of grasp what they are studying. So yeah, this is the role I play with most of the teenagers who come to me.
So the major addiction is all about mobile and social media is the major addiction. And you help them to, de-addict that.
I don't de-addict them actually because completely stopping them, Dhonibai, is not the right approach. I sort of regularize the time for them.
Okay.
Because parents want them to stop it completely, but that's not the right approach. You have to,
Allow them.
Yeah, completely stopping doesn't help.
Now, you are into profession where day in, day out, you must be getting different kind of, issues from the patients. And as I ask you, different age group. This is my curiosity to know. We can discuss a lot of cases in detail, but one specific area I just want to check with you. Are you getting cases of teenagers especially about breakup, which is a very fancy word nowadays about boy and girl, and many times they go into the depression or some sort of mental challenge. Are you getting this kind of cases?
Not that much. But yes, most of the teenagers who come to me have undergone one or two breakups or something.
Okay.
But today, one thing they've realized that they don't invest their emotions that much into relationships. And that is something very new. I also have experienced. Though the current generation is emotionally unstable, what we have seen, intellectually very high. But they tend to go into a relationship very early compared to what we used to do in our teenage or life. Because they want, I think their brain works today on instant gratification. And the reason, if you ask me, the reason for this breakup is because what they get attracted is to the physical self. And when they start getting attracted, and then they realize there is a personality attached to that body, which they are not prepared to maintain, So that's where they get affected.
But Dr. Tarak, based out of your experience, and as you explained this rightly, we want you to give some sort of word of wisdom or advice to this group for this specific reason.
I think this is a very tumultuous age, where hormones are raging, there are a lot of changes happening in the body, your psychological, hormonal. I would tell all the youth, first focus on yourself, in your studies. Because if you focus your energies into relationship right now, somewhere your studies are getting affected. There are hardly, I will say, 5% of the youth population who can manage both effectively. But most of them don't. So first, invest yourself into your career, what you want to do in life. And once that stabilizes, the world is open. The world is definitely open.
True.
So yeah, that is something, because if they are invested in these, as I said, emotionally they get drained. The distractions are many. And then there is high chance of them going into addictions.
Now, as I ask you that you must be receiving day in, day out a different kind of cases. Any interesting case study, if you can just explain us, which can enlighten us also. So do you have any specific such case?
Actually, there are many, Dhwanibhai, because my experience with Alpha exposed me to various, sort of the fabric of human nature. In my private practice, mostly I get is anxiety, depression, fears, phobias. But as I said, hypnotherapy just doesn't work on mental health. There's a huge aspect into the physical health also.
Okay.
So when a medical case comes, that is where it excites me the most today, if you ask me. And we had one interesting case where a gynec had referred me a couple, especially the male, for erectile dysfunction. And these wonderful couple, they were into a relationship of 10 years and they ultimately got married. And because of this erectile dysfunction, it was creating a lot of stress and tension between the couple. And it was affecting the self-esteem of the male. So I started working on him. But I think in the second or third session, I realized there is something not correct here. So just going on that hunch, I sent that couple to a sexologist, a urologist and a sexologist. And I get a feedback from him. He calls me up. He said, Dr. Tarak, there's nothing wrong with that guy. It's the lady who is suffering from vaginismus.
Okay.
That is, she becomes so tight that this is his words, even an iron rod won't penetrate. So I had to completely change my therapy. But then working with that lady was not that easy. But we did start having work. There's a lot of past trauma which I had to resolve. So yes, this is one of the cases. Recently, I had someone coming from a corporate world, started feeling a lot of anxiety during his work. And his work involved sitting on the screen throughout the day, during meetings all around the world. And his history was very amazing. He was into high-level sports right from his childhood.
Okay.
So it was very surprising that a person with his And he was still into some form of activity, physical activity every day. But then we just started working on him. And, our therapy, the main thing is not me. It is the client.
Okay.
Because it's a non-medical approach. So if the client is giving his or her 100%, my therapy will work 200%. And that's what we saw here.
Interesting.
He was able to take care of his issues. And the best part was, and I'm sure the medical fraternity won't love it, what I'm going to say, his hypertension, that is his blood pressure medicines, stopped.
Oh, wonderful. This is magical.
So I always tell my client, hypnotherapy is not magic, but the effect can be magical.
Oh, very well said. Now, we were discussing about conscious, subconscious mind. You have touched upon some scientific aspects. And somewhere in your profile and journey, you also connect science and spirituality together, or the philosophy together. We want to know what is this science and spirituality, how these are connected, or what is your perspective on science and spirituality?
Dhoni, if I luckily I will give that credit to first how I was brought up, thanks to my grandparents. So there was some background of spirituality always there. Having said that, when I coming back to my course in hypnotherapy, all my teachers were doctors. And all these teachers used to amalgamate hypnotherapy with our ancient sciences. So that path was already laid. And then what I realized is today, the Western world, their research is going to that pace that neuroscience is able to explain what our ancient yogic sciences have told since generations. Let me give a simple example. If you can go back to the Ashtang Yoga of Patanjali, the 8 steps. Now, Yam, Niyam, Pranayam, Asana. If you see, most of us are stuck here. But it is the other which are very important. Pratyahar, that is withdrawal of senses. Dharana, that is concentration. And Dhyan, that is meditation. So hypnosis starts with Pratyahar, withdrawal of senses, going into a concentrated, focused attention, and it can go into meditation. But the last step, Samadhi, which was like, something, an alien state for us once upon a time. Neuroscience has today explained neurologically what happens in the spine when you achieve the state of superconsciousness. And that can also be achieved with hypnotherapy.
Interesting. So I think then it is sure that in the ancient time when our spiritual gurus, they used to drive through spirituality, but there was some scientific reason or the scientific logic behind that. So I think today, after you have described, I can connect science and spirituality.
I'll share one more thing which is not available in any sort of literature, in which one book I read about the Tibetan history. Say around more than 100 years back, before the Chinese invasion of Tibet. Now, Tibetan Buddhism and Indian spirituality were very much, intermingling. Tibetan, they had this Lamaism. They were lamas. And that time, they were sort of, just like how we have medical school, they were lamas who were trained to be medical lamas. But they had to undergo very rigorous, strict spiritual discipline as well.
Okay.
They were trained in very high level of hypnosis. Because that height, you can't expect them to have the anesthetics or any other chemicals. So they used to use hypnosis by looking in the eye of the patient, putting them into deep trance and performing complicated surgeries. That's one. Second, lot of, and this is, I don't know how much true it is, they used hypnosis to put in certain knowledge in students which would have taken them years to read.
Oh, okay.
I know this may sound a little bit controversial, but in hypnotic state, what neuroscience today has explained, now how I can relate to that is there is a part in the brain known as the insula. Now that connects the brain with the rest of the body.
Okay.
And it also is connected with the pain network, the salient network. So this is how we use to reduce pain. We call it hypnoanalgesia.
Oh, interesting. We always say happiness is state of mind, and somewhere you have also written in your some post that happiness is state of mind. What is this? How we correlate or connect happiness with state of mind? What is this actually?
All emotions are the functions of the subconscious mind, except happiness. Because what is happiness is where you are in the state of present awareness. Your past is not influencing you. You're not worried about the future, but you are in the state of current, present moment. And that is where the happiness lies. So it is one of the only function of the conscious mind.
Okay.
If you go back to any place where you just close your eyes and recollect something very amazing which left you spellbound. Dhaniba, you will realize that you were just absorbing that thing as it is. And that is a state of happiness.
Okay.
And today we have sort of what we call is that conditioned happiness. If I do this, then I'll be happy. If I achieve this, I'll be happy. And because of that, we are always in pursuit of happiness. We are never in that state.
Very well said, very well said.
And to be in that state, you have to be in that moment,
In the
and
present.
just live it
Wonderful, wonderful.
the way it is.
Wonderful. One last point. Now you are into a profession where I can say that you can be a very good guide, philosopher, a mentor for people because psychologically you are guiding people. So we want you to give your, once again, words of wisdom or the advice to our younger generation.
Dhaniba, it will be a big thing to call me a philosopher, a guide, but all can share is from my own experience, because that's the best wisdom. I have gained through life is experience, because I personally believe books just gives you knowledge. But when you experience certain things, it gives you wisdom.
Wonderful.
So the youth is gain knowledge, but gain knowledge through books and experience, not through the internet. Because if you see today, we have sort of, the knowledge is like infinite, available to us, which was not there previously. We have to go to libraries, search books. Now today that effort is no more required. So the youth try to gain the knowledge which you deem fit, and just don't gain unnecessary knowledge, which today most of the people have.
Exactly.
I'll slightly deviate, if I go back to Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes, there's a beautiful incident where the Watson asks him that, okay, don't you know that the earth, the moon, the earth is traveling around the sun? So he says, why do I care? It is not useful to me. So where the the sun goes around the earth or the earth goes around the sun is immaterial to me. It somewhere hit me. We collect so much of gibberish
Exactly.
today that if you see a child in the bus, instead of being active with energy of, full of life, they are docile, sitting, as if they are sort of fed up of life.
True. True.
And that can only change if there is a reduction of knowledge, a reduction of screen time.
True.
And that has to start with parents. And the youth experience life, go out, do trekking, go sports, read books.
Wonderful. I think you have rightly said, and I'm sure, people who will watch this will definitely take a...
Can I add one more?
Yeah,
One,
please.
sorry,
Sure,
I'm
please
going
go
to-
ahead. Please.
And this is my dream actually. Today is the time where, generation where you introduce meditation in schools. What I have seen in schools, there are certain schools who practice that. They use a music and that's all. They make students sit for 5-10 minutes. But the most of the students are distracted. They're having fun.
True.
So use a guided meditation. And today in Australia, they have a research where they did that and they found out, one, the aggressiveness of students went down. Their obedience to parents went up. Their concentration went up. And this has overall affected the behavior and the personality of the student. So if this can be inculcated right from, say, age 10 and 11, I think it will affect that student's life to a great extent as he or she grows up.
I think this is the finest advice you have given. I think we say that charity begins from home. So I'll definitely try from my, place, from my kid, to inculcate this practice in his routine.
And you will see the results.
Yeah. Dr. Tarak, thank you so much. I think while interacting with you, I was actually feeling that I am in this state of that hypnosis and, detaching from the surrounding and being in the present. So actually I was feeling that I was in the session with you of hypnosis because you have given a lot of pointers, not only to younger generation, but to the elders also. And I'm sure this will help everyone for their mental well-being. So once again, thank you for sharing so much insightful, words and the ideas with us and sparing time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zanibhai, for inviting me once again. And it was a pleasure and honor to talk with you and sharing about hypnosis. And I think before leaving, I'll just touch on one point,
Sure.
if it's with your permission.
Sure.
There are certain myths associated with hypnosis. And the most common is that you can control someone. Now, how this was exploited by media. Recently, there was a Gujarati movie known as Vash, which was sort of remade in Hindi, Shaitan. At the end, they gave a diagnosis. It's a manipulative hypnotic coercion. Now, this is how it spreads, wrong knowledge between people. This is, ye vashikaran nahi hai. If that was the case, my practice would be flourishing with husbands and wives.
Also,
And lovers.
Thank you for, clearing this myth. I think this will help people to, consult people like you whenever they need. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhanibhai.
That was Dr. Tarak Vachharajani. What an introspective talk. Even while talking to him, I was also somewhere experiencing that I am in the state of hypnosis. That means being in present, connected with the subject. So I think very, very learning session we have today. There are very good learnings and takeaway from this session. The first is, we always say happiness is state of mind. But how to get that state of mind? The only point is be in present. If we are in present, or if we remain in present and getting disconnected and detached with the future or the worry of future, we are going to get happiness state of mind. Second, this is for a younger generation. Have focus. Don't dwell into much social networking or the mobile addiction because it is bound to distract you from your focused area. So have focus. And very important thing which Dr. Tarak has emphasized on, don't run after gaining knowledge only, but gain wisdom also. And that comes with the experience. So I once again thankful to Dr. Tarak for giving us a lot of life learning and takeaways. I once again request you to keep reading between the lines. Thank you so much.